What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to KO Bets. My name is Bill. Before we get started, please like the stream, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support tremendously. We've got UFC Fight Night, Holloway taking on the Korean Zombie to preview. Before we get started, though, we got to go over last week, UFC 292. Just an absolutely crazy weekend, and we did good work, right? So let's see. Pulling this up. I'm also simulcasting on TikTok, and so if that audience is tuning in, just look up KO Bets on YouTube and you can tune into the live stream here. Here, let's cut out the music. That's kind of cool. I handled that well. Before we get started, we are doing an NFT giveaway, UFC Strike Moment, upon hitting 100 subscribers on YouTube. We're currently at 66, so as soon as we hit 100, we'll give away those UFC Strike Moments. We'll start giving those away. Any other housekeeping? Well, just the itinerary. We're going to go through last week, UFC 92, review our picks. We took Sugar. We took the Sugar Show knockout plus 330 or something like that. So that was sweet. And then we're going to get into tomorrow's card early in Singapore for the United States audience. I mean, imagine living overseas and like every fight card is like that for you. You know what I mean? So I'll still complain though. I'll still complain about it. It's bullshit. And then we'll do some trending topics. I'll sign off of TikTok at that point. But yeah, let's get into it. We've got last week UFC 292. We'll start at the main event and just work our way down. Sean O'Malley gets the second round finish. I was saying like maybe third or fourth round, but still got the KO method of victory. Zhang Weili really thought Amanda Lemos against Zhang Weili would end inside the distance, but Zhang Weili holds her belt. Ian Machado Gary, the KO I think was the most popular method of victory for that. We went with the decision at plus 200, which was a savvy pick. Played out kind of how I said it would, just a very technical striking matchup. Next fight, Mario Batista, Damon Blackshear. Man, Blackshear arguably won that fight, and somehow it was a unanimous decision for Mario Batista. We did take Batista, but I think I suggested maybe a split decision in that fight. Went the distance, tough fight, good pick. Marlon Vera, decision, good pick for us. Brad Tavares, I thought he was going to put out Chris Weidman in that fight, but gets the decision win. Gregory Rodriguez, we went with him inside the distance, gets the round 1 KO of Dennis Tuluin. Went with Austin Hubbard, and he gets submitted by Kurt Holloway. Went with Brad Katona, decision, he gets that method of victory. Andre Petroski versus G3, Gerald Meerschaert. That kind of surprised me. It went the distance, to be honest. And then we went with the Natalia Silva won, unanimous decision. And then we went with the finish in Karine Silva against Marina Moroz, but my pick was Marina Moroz in that fight. I thought she would maybe survive the early onslaught and pull out a method of, the victory. Let's see. Now let's get over to tomorrow's fight card. Again, if you're just tuning in on TikTok, I've got a show on YouTube, KO Bets. You can look it up on YouTube. We're simulcasting, but I've got like the stats pulled up there. It's just a little better experience in my humble opinion. And you got Bobby putting his picks in the chat. I moved last weekend, so Crystal and I were in a new place, and it's very exciting. I'm having a bubbly with some vodka in it. Sungwoo Choi taking on Yarno Aarons. Sungwoo Choi, he is on a 3-fight losing streak, 3-5 in the UFC. This is sick, by the way. I finally got Office on my PC, and it's like I've got spreadsheets now to hopefully I can start streamlining this a little bit, making it easier. 3-fight win streak, 3-5 in the UFC. Notable wins: Julian Erosa. A lot of notable losses: Kulabau, Caceres, who we'll talk about later, Tucker, Masvar. Jarno Aarons, he is on a 1-fight losing streak, 0-1 in the UFC. Looking at this matchup, I always say this, when a fight's in England, when it's in Brazil, when it's in a hometown, like, there's always that, you always want to eat the home cooking, like a little bit of the home cooking, and Sungwoo, I think that this isn't a great, level MMA fight in my opinion, but it should be fun and entertaining. So we've got Sungwoo Choi. He's 6-10. Sorry, he's 10-6. He's 6 out of 10 of his wins are KOs. He just was KO'd in his last fight in the UFC. He's got to get off this losing streak. He's on a 3-fight skid. Super hittable, but does have good volume and should be outstriking Jarno, who in his debut looked decent against William Gomez. Gomez got taken down a bunch, was kind of kicking a lot and had low output on the feet, but it wasn't a bad showing. I don't think Sungwoo Choi is going to grapple in this fight, so I think this is going to play out primarily on the feet. Aarons has probably better striking defense, but the output advantage I think is going to go for Choi, and man, I just kind of think Choi's either going to win, just be like the minute winner with volume. He's got arguably, I think, the power advantage, so I'm going to roll with Sungwoo Choi. Let's check the odds on this. Sungwoo Choi is currently the minus 155 odd favorite. Odds makers do not like this to go to the distance. Nose minus 150. They're liking the Sungwoo Choi KO, which I could see, but I could also see a really close decision between these two fighters. In his debut, Aarons had a split decision against Gomez, so I think the split decision prop's a little bit interesting. This is probably a no bet for me. Split decisions plus 600 for that fight to be won via split decision. I don't know. Probably a no bet for me. The next fight, I'm sure we could find something. We've got Na Liang taking on JJ Aldrich. Na Liang, she's on a 2-fight skid, 0-2 in the UFC. Her losses came to Silvana Gomez Juarez KO and Ariane Carnelosi KO. Out of her 25 professional fights, 24 of them have ended inside the distance. She only has one third-round appearance. She's taking on J.J. Aldrich, who's a heavy favorite on a 2-fight losing streak. Notable wins for her: Jillian Robertson, Vanessa Demopoulos. Losses: Lipsky, Blanchfield, who we're going to cover later, and Macy Barber. 9 out of 11 of her wins are inside the distance. I think this is setting up to be an inside-the-distance fight. It's pretty apparent. I think J.J. Aldrich is probably the more well-rounded fighter, especially on the feet. She's going to be more technical, keep it tighter, and the longer this fight gets extended, I think the more it plays to her advantage. She does have some KO method of victories, so I think I'm liking the KO finish here. If Na Liang gets it done, though, I think the submission is in play, but I definitely like something inside the distance. And so do the odds makers. J.J. Aldrich is who we're going with, heavy favorite at minus 535. At that point, I don't mind people exploring like the Na Liang and under 1.5 at plus 900, or even just straight up on the money line. Just because I don't think J.J. is like amazing, and to drop minus 535 on her, that's kind of crazy. Fight to 250. Probably a good parlay piece, good round robin piece that I'm going to put up there on my screen. Maybe even the under 2.5 at minus 200, like that too. So I think, yeah, it's tough. For the finish only, Na Liang is plus 380, which is interesting. Round props, round 1 is plus 150, so odds makers like this one to end very, very quickly. Aldrich round 1 plus 175. Na Liang round 1 plus 1200. Man, if anything, I'm just like risk less, win more potentially on Na Liang on some of those prop bets in the money line, but you know, JJ Aldrich is probably going to win that one, so it'd probably be a losing bet. Billy Goff is taking on Yusaku Kinoshita. You know, a lot of times I come live and this is the first time I'm pronouncing these names, and I always nail them perfectly. Billy Goff, he is 8-2 professionally. Hasn't fought yet in the UFC. He's making his debut. He's taking on Yasuku Kinoshita, who's on a one-fight losing streak, is 0-1 in the UFC, lost to Adam Fugit, but was super entertaining, I remember, on his Dana White Contender Series fight. Scored a knockout in that. I think he was like heralding himself as like the Asian McGregor. No, that wasn't it. His style reminded me of him. Good counter striker, carries good power. Maybe I'm heralding him as that, not himself. 4 KO wins, 2 submission wins. Really, like I said, really savvy striker with good power. I think this is going to be a good fight, but I think I'm going to go with the better striker in Kinoshita to win this fight. Maybe score a KO. And then Billy Goff on the other side, he's 6-8 with 6 out of 8 wins coming via KO. He's not 6-8. He's 8-2. He's very durable, aggressive, tough. Gotta like something inside the distance given what we've seen from these two fighters. I'm curious, Billy Goff, I kind of want to see his SureDog. Just to see what his losses came from. 1 KO loss, 1 decision loss. So, kind of like the KO is the method of victory, and I'm going to go with the who I perceive to be the better striker in Kinoshita. Kinoshita is the favorite at minus 135. Looking at the odds makers, they do not like this to go the distance. Minus 400 that this fight does not go the distance. I'm kind of priced out of that. I don't love that, but I mean, I love it, but I don't love it, you know? The KO for Kinoshita is plus 150. That's what I'd have to roll with. Just for the KO for either fighter, that's at minus 225. I mean, Billy Goff does have some grappling and could probably, choose to have a lot of success if he grapples. I think he'll have a lot of success against Kinoshita, who was kind of, I think he was kind of wrestled by Fugit, if I remember this correctly. Anyways, Kinoshita's not a grappler. Definitely a striker. So, maybe I'll do Kinoshita money line, but the over-under is at 1.5 rounds. Let's see these round props again. Fight to start round 3, no is minus 200. And the over-under for 2.5 is minus 285. 1.5 is minus 130. Get the extra 30 seconds for minus... I don't know. I think maybe I'll do Kinoshita money line in like a round robin, or just to parlay it with something else, just a little bit, get a little better value there. But I like Kinoshita a lot in that fight. Song Kanan taking on Rolando Bedoya. This should be a good scrap. We've got Song Kanan. He is on a 2-fight losing skid. He's 4-3 in the UFC. Didn't really find any notable wins on the resume, but we have Ian Gary, Max Griffin, Brad Riddell, Israel Adesanya have all KO'd him in his career. Those are his 4 KO losses. And then also a decision loss to Alex Morono. Rolando Bedoya made his debut against just a terrific debut. Seemed like a really, really good striker and arguably, won that split decision. But his only 2 losses have been decisions. He seems like a great striker, like his output, like his defense a little bit better than Song Kanan, who we've just seen get beat up a little bit. He does carry good power, dropped to Ian Gary when they fought. 17 out of 19 of his wins have come inside the distance. It was like 9-8 with KOs and submissions, but and I thought he was pretty tough in that Ian Gary fight, but ultimately got put out in round 3. And yeah, I got to roll with Rolando, who is the favorite in this fight, and I think we're probably going to see the finish from Rolando. I like Rolando in this a lot. I think Song Kanan, his best chance to win would be like the early knockout, in my opinion, and odds makers have priced for the winning method of victory, the knockout, his most likely outcome. Fight to go the distance, odd makers say no at -150. I kind of like that line. And the reason being, we've just seen Rolando, he looked really, really sharp on the feet. And we've just seen Song get KO'd in back-to-back fights. And he just hasn't been the best so far in the UFC. Man, I like Rolando. Does he for sure get it done inside the distance, though, is the question. I do not know if I love that. I might do like a same-game parlay over, for it to get out of the first and for Rolando to win, something like that. Kanan Song, if you want to sprinkle the, early KO for him, hey, I don't hate it, but I think Rolando Bedoya is the better fight. As far as like round robin parlay pieces, I think I like just the the money line for Rolando the best, -340. He is a heavy favorite. I do think he's the better fighter though, and going to win the fight. So I'm gonna roll with Rolando. Chidi Njokuani taking on Michael Oleksiejczuk. Chidi is on a 2-fight skid. He's 2-2 in the UFC. Michael, he's on a 1-fight skid. He's 6-4 with 1 no contest in the UFC. Notable wins for Chidi: Dusko Todorovic, Marc-Andre Barriault. Losses: Albert Duraev, split decision; Gregory Rodriguez, knockout. I think those are his last 2 fights. And then we've got Michael, he's lost to Barallo, Dustin Jacoby, Jimmy Crute, Ovan St. Peru. The submission losses on the resume, 4 submission losses. He's a boxer, though. 13 out of 18 of his wins come via KO. He's a good boxer, just doesn't have a grappling game. I think to win this fight against Chidi Njokuani, like if you look at that reach discrepancy, it's 6 inches. Chidi's got a crazy frame for the division. I think Michael's best chance to win this fight is to close out the distance, lay volume on him, try and hurt Chidi, and then he's got to stay safe though, because Chidi knocked out Marc-Andre Barriault, who up to that point was just so durable and didn't get knocked out by anyone, and Chidi did it. 14 out of 22 of his wins come via KO. Good kicker, good power, just is kind of scary to bet on because he doesn't always look like the minute winner. Even when he's winning fights, he's looking for that kill shot. And I am gonna roll with, just considering the line and everything, and I think he's gonna win this. I'm gonna roll with Chidi Njokuani. He is the slight underdog at plus 102. Odds makers do not like this to go the distance at minus 360. To be perfectly honest, I don't love how that line is priced. I think there might be some distance on plus 250 that the fight does go the distance. But if I had to choose a method of victory, I would say it's the Chidi KO. But those decisions, it's just like sometimes Chidi's so gun shy, and I could see the Michael Olajecki or Olajejczyk decision. So at plus 550, I'm gonna roll with just the underdog line of Chidi at plus 102, and probably bet a little bit on him. Toshiomi Kazama taking on Garrett Armfield. Toshiomi Kazama is on a one-fight losing streak, so is Garrett Armfield. Both are 0-1 in the UFC. Both fought really good fighters. Toshiomi fought Rinya Nakamura, who I think we're going to talk about on the main card, and Garrett Armfield fought David Onama, so they both had tough debuts. Toshiomi, jiu-jitsu fighter, road to the UFC contestant, but just didn't look really good on the feet at any point. Very good jiu-jitsu artist, like I mentioned. That's his strength in this fight's going to be grappling. Garrett Armfield, on the other hand, is probably going to be the better striker in this fight. Had to deal with grappling, gets taken down pretty easily, gets ultimately submitted by David Onama in his debut, but was winning some minutes in that fight. So I think if Garrett Armfield can keep this on the feet, I'd like him to win this fight. He is the favorite at minus 162. Odds makers don't like this to go the distance. Sure. I mean, we saw Onama submit Garrett Armfield, who's a striker, going up against the jiu-jitsu artist. Makes sense that, if Toshiomi wins, it'd be a submission. If Armfield wins, could be a KO. Yeah, that might actually be the round-robin pick and the piece that I choose, but I'm going to roll with Garrett Armfield, the striker, to get it done via KO, and that is at plus 215. Odds makers agree. The next fight we've got, looks like the last fight of the prelims, is Waldo Cortez Acosta taking on Lucas Bresky. Waldo Cortez Acosta's on a one-fight losing streak. Lucas Bresky, we got to flash up the Sherdog picture. Lucas Bresky. Sherdog. Just because it's funny. It's just a huge difference in what I'm seeing here, right? And wait till you see him in person. It's just a big difference. That's all I'm saying. It's kind of interesting, though. Got busted for PEDs on, his fight on Contender Series was a no contest, and then he's 0-2, and just doesn't look like his picture. 2-fight losing streak. 0-2 in the UFC. Lost a decision to Carl Williams. Split decision to Martin Buday. Waldo Cortez Acosta, very good striker, 2-1 in the UFC. Lots of decisions thus far. Did have a knockout on Contender Series, but lots of decisions. Really got his leg kicked apart by Rodrigo de Lima, he lost to his last fight. Rodrigo's got some of the craziest kicks, though, for heavyweight. I mean, he might be, with Cyril Gahn, Aspinall, I'm sure there's someone else. He might have he probably has the worst leg kicks. He's deals out the most damage there. And against that boxing style where you're heavy on your front foot, it was not good for Acosta, who lost the decision there. But Lucas Bresky, I don't think presents that challenge. I think the challenge Lucas Bresky could present is the grappling. If he chooses to grapple, I don't trust really Waldo Cortez Acosta to get back to his feet that easily. So I'm going to roll with Waldo, though, to get this done. I think he probably could hurt Lucas Bresky and get a KO, but I'm going to roll with Waldo on the money line. Waldo is the favorite at minus 218. Odds makers, actually, it's a pick 'em basically for the fight to go the distance. I'm going to say Waldo gets the KO. That's at plus 200. The decision's at plus 150 for Waldo, but I'm going to go with the Waldo KO. I think, over 15 minutes, he can, as long as he can keep it standing, he can really lay it on Lucas Bresky. So rolling with Waldo. Now we're on to the main event. I think we've got 6 more fights to do. We've got Junior Tafa taking on Parker Porter. Parker Porter is he's not good. He's not awful. There's some things you like about him. He's got great output for the heavyweight division, but we saw him lose to the other Tafa via KO, and man, it's just tough. He's like, I don't think he carries a lot of power. He almost knocked out like Chase Sherman, but his wins aren't that impressive. Jared Vanderaa, Chase Sherman, and his losses, he's just kind of losing to the better fighters. Junior Tafa in this fight is going to have a distinct power advantage. He's 4-1. 4 of his wins are KOs. I think Parker Porter, obviously could, if it somehow played out like that, he could probably point strike and win a boxing match against Junior Tafa. But we've seen him get KO'd before. I think he probably gets KO'd here. I think the best approach for Parker Porter would be to do what he did in his last fight, which I think was Alan. Who did he fight? Was it Alan Badeau? Oh, this guy. What was his name? Braxton Smith. Gets the takedown and ultimately gets him out of there with some ground and pound. I think if he was able to wrestle in this fight, Junior Tafa would probably be stuck for the rest of the round. But every round's going to start on the feet, and Junior Tafa is going to have a chance to punch his head, and I think he does get the knockout method of victory in this fight ultimately. So I'm going to roll with Junior Tafa knockout. Tafa is the favorite at minus 135. Because I'm rolling with Tafa, I just think it makes sense to go with the KO is at plus 110 only. So I guess I like the money line a little better, just to get the decision potentially. Odds makers do not like this to go the distance at minus 360. Parker Porter submission would be kind of crazy. I think I doubt he scores a KO. I doubt he stays out of harm's way for the full 15 minutes. I think he gets caught eventually, so I'm rolling with Junior Tafa in that fight. The next fight should be a really good one. It's Erin Blanchfield taking on Talia Santos. Erin Blanchfield has just looked tremendous in the UFC thus far. 5-0, 5-fight win streak. Just had a crazy impressive performance against Jessica Andrade, her last fight out. Has also beat Molly McCann, JJ Aldrich. on her climb up the ladder. Her one loss prior to the UFC was actually to another UFC fighter, Tracy Cortez. And you look at her resume, and there's just like a lot of UFC talent scattered throughout there. So you like her talent. Hasn't fought anyone like Valentina Shevchenko, who Talia Santos arguably beat her last fight in a split decision loss, but she looked terrific. And that's her one fight losing streak right now. She's 4-2 in the UFC. Yeah, and she did look really, really good against standing. She displays really, really good takedown defense and is able to get her punches off. But I just think Erin Blanchfield's way better. She's she's like Khabib, you know, and she's very swarming with her grappling. It might take some work to get Talia down to the ground, but when she does, she'll be better there. On the feet, I think it's closer, but I could see Blanchfield still being really good on the feet in this fight, but I would give maybe the advantage to Talia Santos, but I mean, that's just, I do think Blanchfield is just really, really talented and probably wins this fight, maybe gets a submission method of victory and really makes a statement. Blanchfield is the favorite at -155. I really love the money line there. They've got the fight to go the distance, yes, at -225. You know, we've got Rose Namajunas taking on who's Rose fighting next? Rose. Mannion Fiora, who is sick, September 2nd. So, is that next weekend? Oh, sick. That's Gane versus Spivak. That'll be a great card. I really like Rose. I really like Mannion. I think Mannion, it should be a great fight. It should be a great fight. But, I mean, gosh, I really like both of those fighters. This division in women's MMA is just really coming together, and there's a ton of great talent up and coming and currently there in place. But yeah, I'm rolling with Erin Blanchfield, and I mean, I'm not gonna bet like decision or inside the distance. I'm just looking at this Blanchfield submission plus 350, and I feel like I'm seeing some value there, because I do think if she gets it to the match, she's just better than everyone, right? And she submitted Jessica Andrade, who's kind of skidding lately, but I think Andrade is a really, really good, talented fighter, and the way Blanchfield handled her was just impressive. The next fight we've got is Rinya Nakamura taking on Fernie Garcia. Rinya Nakamura just seems like a beast. You know, terrific grappling, huge power, explosive. 6 out of 7 wins inside the distance, 5 KO victories, 1 submission win. And Fernie Garcia here, he's 0-2 in the UFC, big underdog in this spot. Was a Dana White Contender Series contestant in 2021. And, you know, just his style, he's a brawler. I think his best chance of winning here is to try and extend Rinya in the fight to get to the late second, third round, and maybe Rinya's tired at that point, but I think the most likely outcome is probably Rinya inside the distance. So that's what I'm gonna roll with, is Rinya inside the distance here. Rinya's -900, the favorites. Odds makers do not like this to go the distance. -400, the over-under set to 1.5. Unders at -180. So, and I mean, Rinya is just like, he's an animal. He's crazy. I think Rinya submission or KOs -300. I mean, that's a better round robin and parlay piece in my opinion than -900. Just not going to do that. I'll probably do the KO or submission for minus 300 there. The next fight is Giga Chikadze taking on Alex Caceres. Alex Caceres, I think, is stepping in on short notice. I don't know who Giga was originally scheduled to fight. I don't really look at the lineups unless I'm like scrolling Twitter or I see, I'm going into a week and seeing what's happening next week. So Giga Chikadze, he is on a 1-fight losing streak. Caceres is on a 2-fight win streak. Caceres has that unique karate style, is pretty well-rounded, has been in the UFC for, 10 years now, just tons of fights in the UFC and under the promotion. Giga Chikadze, he's 7-1 in the UFC, just lost badly to Calvin Kattar, but I think this is a big step down in competition for Giga Chikadze, clearly, and Alex Caceres, he's a good fighter. I think this is a good stylistic matchup for Giga to go out there and get back in the win column. Providing he doesn't get caught with anything too crazy, I think he might catch Alex Caceres at some point, but I'm a big fan of Caceres. I really am a big fan of him, but I just think this is a good spot for Giga personally. So I'm going to roll with Giga Chikadze here to get it done. He is the favorite at minus 245. Odds makers like this one to go the distance, minus 175. I kind of agree with that, to be perfectly honest. I think this one is likely a decision, but don't know if I'll pick that, considering it's 10 out of 14 of Giga's wins have come inside the distance. Let's see Alex Caceres losses, because he does have some losses, but I want to focus in on like what's happened lately with him. Yeah, only 1 knockout loss, 7 submission losses, so pretty durable. 10-5 in decisions. Looking at Giga, he's 4-2 in decisions, so that I'm gonna roll with Giga here. I just think this is a good spot for him, and minus 245 isn't bad for a fighter like Giga going up against a short notice opponent in Alex Caceres. So I'm gonna roll with Giga in this fight. The next fight we've got is a rematch of what we saw in like 2021 or 2022, which is Anthony Smith taking on Ryan Spann. Anthony Smith is on a 2-fight losing streak. Ryan Spann's on a 1-fight losing streak. They've been talking crap back and forth, and so I think Anthony Smith kind of put this together and just wants to show that he can beat Ryan Spann again, and Ryan Spann's trying to avenge a loss, which is super understandable, but period. He's sometimes looks really, really good, sometimes doesn't look good. Like Anthony Smith, he got submitted in round 1. It wasn't even... Anthony Smith just walked him down, got him to the mat, rear naked choked him. And I just don't really see how a loss to... Who did he lose? A loss to Nikita Krylov and wins over Dominic Reyes, gets the KO. Okay, great. Kudalaba, who's got like no gas tank. I just don't see... And then he gets submitted round 1 by Nikita Krylov. I just don't see where Spann's improved all that much. I think he is capable of winning this fight, but I'm going with Anthony Smith. He's the underdog for some reason in this at plus 105. I think it's a finish. You look at Anthony Smith, he's a very entertaining fighter. 33 out of 36 of his wins have come inside the distance. 14 out of 18 of his losses inside the distance. Pushes the pace. He's there to fight. Ryan Spann could catch him with a punch. I think that's his best chance of winning, is knockout. Anthony Smith, I like the submission again. I like the early submission again at plus 380. Odds makers like the Spann knockout at plus 175. But yeah, I just don't see where Ryan Spann's improved since the last time. Maybe it's Anthony Smith's just older, 2 years older now again. But he's tough too. I don't know. I just think it's a weird to see Smith as the underdog after winning very recently. The next fight is the main event. We've got Max Holloway taking on Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie. I mean, if it's not Alexander Volkanovski, Max isn't losing at 145. The three people he's lost to in the UFC, Alexander Volkanovski 3 times, right? 2 close fights, last fight, not so close. Dustin Poirier at 155 for an interim title, and Conor McGregor back when he was at 145 making his rise. Otherwise, just is beating everyone. And this is effectively a legacy fight, just a money fight for both of these guys, in my opinion. And, I think Chan Sung Jung, he's on a 1-fight losing streak. I don't really know what he did to warrant the opportunity against Volkanovski, to be perfectly frank. Was it Ortega was injured and Yair was maybe not in a spot where he could fight? I don't know. It was a weird matchup in my opinion, and Volk is really, really good. I do think Chan Sung Jung's also on the latter part of his career. And sorry, I'm on YouTube. I can't bring you in. I think, where was I? Yeah, I just think he's on the latter part of his career, and I think Max is way better. So I will say Chan Sung Jung is very, very durable. That loss to Volkanovski was a doctor stoppage in round 4. We got a 5-round fight here. I don't think Max is super accurate. I don't know if he puts the same amount of power on his shots as as Volkanovski. We haven't seen Max knock anyone out in a fairly long time, but he's one of my favorite fighters of all time. His last KO, just because I brought that up, was in 2018 to Brian Ortega. That might have been a doctor stoppage too. And he's got 0 KO losses in his career. I think if Chan Sung Jung wins, it's got to be a KO, and I just don't think that's going to happen. So I'm rolling with Max Holloway. He is a heavy favorite at -700, which is crazy, but arguably well warranted. And odds makers, people like this one inside the distance. Man, I think like a prop like fight starts round 3 at -330 would be fun to parlay. I think fight starts round 4 at -190 would be fun to parlay. The max decision's only +150. The KO's at -120. Man, we could probably put together like a same game parlay where max, but you're just like over 1.5. Fight props, most significant strikes, -20,000 in favor of Max. That takes your odds from -280. It makes them worse, -295. Ridiculous. Takedowns, tie at -115. That puts you to +200. That's interesting, because I don't think there's really going to be takedowns. Fighter props. We could do Max Holloway with a ton of output, 105 plus strikes at or total significant strikes. So that strikes landed at +105. Sorry, 105 strikes or more at -180. We're now at +295. So just, Max has crazy cardio, great volume, and you gotta like him a lot in this fight. I do. I like him. I like it a lot. And then I said, I kind of like the prop bet route where you just do like fight starts the distance, or maybe a fight parlay like Max Holloway and over 2.5 is minus 225. I like that a lot better, and you just throw that in your round robin parlay, whatever. I think that's a pretty good approach. Pardon me, YouTube, I'm going to just sign off of TikTok because we're going to do our trending topics, explore X, explore Twitter. So TikTok, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you watching. I'll be live again next Friday to go over the next UFC event. So I will see you then. Bye. Let's get into trending topics. Why is Habib trending? And this is for me, but why is he trending? I don't know. Let's look at trending though. SmackDown, Cowboys, they got Trey Lance. Niners, they traded him away, got like a 4th round draft pick in return. Oh, Cooper Rush is the backup for Dallas. Bryce Young is trending. Mookie, Brock Purdy is obviously, he was going to be the starter in San Francisco. Jerry Jones. What's the Wawa 250? Some NASCAR event? Well, I think we'll end the stream here. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, if you're on here, we're doing an NFT giveaway. Please subscribe to the channel to help us get to our goal. Oh, I didn't end the poll. Forgot I had a poll up. Let's see, did we get... Ooh, the audience thinks the fight will not go the distance. Interesting. But I think that could be the case. That could definitely be the case. But I appreciate you tuning in. Please like the stream, subscribe to the channel. My name is Bill. Thank you for watching KO Bets. Bye.